My name is Boris Vervoordt, and we're happy to announce the reopening of our gallery here in Canal.
My name is Sander. I'm an art historian working for Axel Vervoordt Gallery, and I'm very pleased to tell you a little more about these artists.
Welcome to our Chung Chang-Sup show, our first show we're opening since the confinement. Interesting, I think, in a sense that the artist was also confined to his studio in the 70s in South Korea. He couldn't really be an artist, he had to think and work in contact with what's happening in the broader world, but from the limitations of his studio.
This exhibition includes 16 works, containing works from 3 different series: the Return series, the Attack series and the Meditation series in chronological order, which were made over a period of 40 years, in which he tried to master the technique of the kneading and the manipulating the mulberry fiber or the tack. When we look at all the different artworks presented in this exhibition, we see an artist who is trying to investigate the possibilities with one same material, in this case a tack, without trying to be known as the artist, since he tries to let the material speak for itself.
The work behind me from 1977 really reflects that. In a way, it's like a door, it's like the shadow of a window, and in a way how the stretcher relates to the canvas, to the paper that's laid on it, is very typical of those reflections. In that way, it relates to the classical architecture, but on the other hand, it also relates to what was happening in the avant-garde on an international level.
Chung Chang-Sup was an artist associated to the Korean Danseiko art movement, but unlike other art movements of that time, like Kutai in Japan or Zero in Europe, the Danseiko art movement did not officialize itself, nor was a manifesto written. However, this group of artists did work together, they showed their work together, and they commented on each other's work, which led in the 1970s to the term Danseiko, which can be literally translated as single-color painting. Just like other artists associated to the Danseiko art movement, like Liu Fan or Yoon Young-keun or Park Seo-bo, Chung tried to relinquish the notion of image in favor of the materials to speak for themselves. This group of artists tried to add gesture to the material, to activate the material by entering into a philosophical dialogue with it, trying to create a sense of harmony. And by doing that, the artists or the human being becomes less important, and it's the material speaking to us.
This work is titled Return. It's from 1982, and Return is his first group of works where he does a study on the return of life, the cycle of life, finding back its source. In a way, Return is like a meditation, and so it announces also the rest of his series of work, where the presence of nature, of the mulberry paper, which will then continue in the Tack series after this, will get an even more prominent position.
When we talk about the 1960s, 1970s art worlds, to use Howard Becker's term, we think of the questioning of long-standing paradigms and customs. And this idea has also been articulated by other art movements after the Second World War, like the Monoha in Japan, which was co-led by the previously mentioned Liu Fan, but also the Arte Povera in Italy, or the Düsseldorfer Schule in Germany, the Sakankaneh school in Iran, or the minimalist and post-minimalist movements in America. Now, much has been written about the relationship and the difference between what was happening in America at the time and what was happening in Korea. Chung, however, rejected this way of thinking and speaking about art as a system that divided what was happening in the East, the Eastern painting, and the Western painting, and as the ink from oil. Rather, he said that his practice was kind of the combination between the Eastern philosophy and the Western materialism.